Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first international conference on contemporary music, Iannis Xenakis Centenary. Event hosted by Transilvania University of Brașov, Romania. A great mind, Iannis Xenakis was a fount of knowledge in many disciplines from engineering to music, from architecture to mathematics. Described by Milan Kundera as the prophet of insensibility, his musical pieces had the ability to both unnerve and enrapture his audience. At the core of his work stayed his experience, his education, his profound study of philosophy and science, of disciplines that he further used to explore the visual and sonorous origins of art. His adult life is well known. Maybe not so much his first 10 years spent in Romania. Iannis Xenakis was born in Brăila to a bourgeois Greek family as the first son of Klearchos Xenakis, an entrepreneur who ran an import-export agency, and Fotini Pavlou. Klearchos and Fotini were both interested in music and great lovers of opera, so often they went abroad to music festivals. In his sketch of an autobiography published in Le Fait Culturel by Gérard Montassier, Fayard edition 1980, Iannis Xenakis mentioned that he was fascinated by music that has never left him since the day he was 5 years old and his mother gave him a child's flute. Fotini, a talented pianist who spoke fluent French and German, was the one who influenced Iannis Xenakis in music. As an adult, he remembered his mother playing piano. She started to play, and I was as petrified, he said. His mother's early death in 1927 was a traumatic experience from Iannis Xenakis, as he recognized that the long trip his mother made gave him frightens and marked him for the future. Iannis and his two younger brothers were brought up in Brăila, being educated by 3 governesses, one French, one English, and one German. In 1932, Xenakis' family returned to Greece. The children were enrolled in a private institution, a boarding school where the Greek curriculum was taught along with an English-style sports education. Xenakis remembered learning musical notation and solfeggio, singing in the school's boys' choir, and listening music to an old radio existing in the meeting room. He said, "One day I heard Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, which struck me as an apocalypse. I then gradually entered into the music, listening to it, but without having the idea of practicing it, neither by playing nor by composing. I decided to compose only much later, at 17 or 18 years old." In a 1996 interview given to Balint Andraș-Varga, Iannis Xenakis revealed the experience of being brought up in Romania. "In my childhood, I first heard Romanian folk music and gypsy music, so I come from a place where these are indigenous. I was brought up on them. But I don't like this music because it awakens very sad memories in me. My mother died when I was about 5 years old, and when I hear this type of music on the radio or in coffee houses, it always reminds me of my mother." Years later, Xenakis suggested that his interest in traditional Indian and Japanese music was due in part to the fact that he was born in Romania, where he could hear traditional music from various origins. After his moving to Greece, Iannis Xenakis often returned to Romania. He remembers spending his holidays in Brăila, Sinaia, and Vaca Dorne up until 1938. In Romania, he learned to play piano and other instruments. "My friends and I built ourselves instruments. We built violins out of a cane. I think that in these countries, it is an old custom for children to imitate their parents using homemade instruments." Romania was also the place of his first religious experiences. In an interview given to Mikis Solomos, Iannis Xenakis told him about attending the Greek church every Sunday. Also, he said, "At the age of 13, quite suddenly, I discovered God. It happened at Brăila. I was walking along the sandy bank of the Danube. opposite the town, and I had a revelation. I went home and told my father, I know that God exists. Now I am an atheist. The notion of God has done a lot of harm to human freedom and continues to enslave, so my position on the matter is uncompromising. Although his life went in Greece and mostly in France, Iannis Xenakis was open to Romania and Romanians who venerate him, all of them students, friends, tourists. Participants to the International New Music Week Bucharest 1992, when Iannis Xenakis returned to his native Romania, meeting an audience eager for good music, were able to get to know him, to be at his side, to follow his sparkling, ironic verbiage, to notice how present he is at all times. Professor Constantin Râpă, the conductor of the Antifonia choir, saw in Iannis Xenakis a composer much committed to the legend and performed Necuia live in front of the composer. In return, Iannis Xenakis replied, impressed by the performance, "When I hear Antifonia, I melt." 1 year later, Iannis Xenakis became Doctor Honoris Causa of the Cluj-Gheorghe-Dima Academy of Music. No doubt that Iannis Xenakis belongs to the world. He is international, universal, but also unique. His roots are Romanian, and he never forgot it. Many thanks to Madame Machi Xenakis, to Professor Micu Iliescu, and to Andrei Păuleț and Gabriel Isaac for their support. I now invite up here Mr. Dimitrios Konstantis, hopefully I said it right, First Counselor of the Greek Embassy.
Hello, good morning everybody. Mrs. Dean, professors, students, dear friends, friends of Iannis Xenakis. I don't have many things to contribute today because I'm not an expert in Iannis Xenakis. People who spoke before me and probably people who will speak after me are experts on his work, his life. And I admit that sometimes I find it even difficult or hard or maybe impossible to even understand his music. As an ordinary person, not an expert in music or in mathematics or architecture, I find it hard to understand his music. But it's important that even though I don't understand it, I like it. And I think it's something that applies to everybody. Of course, not only in this room, but all over the world. So, with these words, I would just like to thank the organizers for the invitation to this wonderful event. I wish that it will continue also next years, because I heard yesterday Professor Vedeanu saying that maybe this is the first edition and we'll have a second one or a third one, and so on and so forth. So I would just like to wish success to this conference, and thank you once again for the invitation. It's a real honor and privilege. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
University of Brașov, who's the great mind behind this conference.
I don't want to talk too much because I had a wonderful talk before me, and I don't want to disturb too much the scheduling of this conference. I only want to tell you that this project came on birth in Paris 2 years ago, and a group of scholars told me that it would be great if in 2022 we can have an event in Romania as in Paris, in Athens, in London, in Berlin, in Köln, everywhere, this Xenakis celebration took place. And I had signalized positively, and then the people were so engaged in helping me in fulfilling the steps, and it was so great support for all of you, and without you I could not make one step, and I'm so thankful. Firstly, I want to thank to Transilvania University who provided me everything for having you here. Mr. Dean, Madalina Rusanda, who was so supportive, and she was so engaged in my project, and Fulvia, wonderful organizer of this, and I had also help from abroad. I want to thank so much Mr. Mikulies, who was so good advisor for me in everything I had, because he had experience in this type of events, and I wanted every time to have a feedback from his part, and I'm so thankful, Mr. Elias, to help me so much. Just a very short coda. I'm so thankful for the scholars are here. They are really, I selected the best scholars in Europe to be here. These are experts in Xenakis, and I'm so thankful for your time, for your knowledge, for your experience, for supporting this first edition of Brașov avant-garde, radical avant-garde festival of contemporary. Thank you so much.